All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. I'm your host, Brandon Troy. And if you've been looking at the promo posts that have been posted as of late, of course, we are still doing a lot of our special edition episodes, so be on the lookout for that. It was happening last week, and it's continuing to happen this week since we are in Comic-Con week. But aside from that, of course, I'm fortunate to have a terrific guest on today, or I should say tonight, for those of you that are here on the East Coast. I have Lew Temple from the film Limbo. So give me a second and let me bring him on, okay? Lew, how you doing, man?
Hey, Brandon, thank you so much for having me tonight. As you mentioned, you're on the East Coast, and it's getting into the evening out here on the West Coast, of which we're missing you. I don't have to tell you that because typically, as you said, you would be out here this time of the year at the San Diego Comic-Con, which has been, it's evolved into a virtual Comic-Con this year, which I know is not the same, and you are a veteran of that. So I'm feeling your absence, let's say. And but thank you for having me, man. Thanks. It's so great to be here. I have to ask right away, are you a mover or a shaker?
I try to be a little bit of both. I try to balance
Okay.
out, man.
Okay. I see that in you. I see that in you. Whichever applies, right?
There you go. There you go. So to start, Lew, first off, again, thanks for coming on the show today. Can you talk a little bit about this film, Limbo? I had a chance to see it. Tell me how you got involved, with this project.
Yeah, thanks for taking a look at it. I know how busy you are, so I'm just thankful for any time you give to all things that you do. Limbo is a movie that's written and directed by Mark Young, and I work with Mark quite often. This is the fourth project I've done with Mark. We have a similar sensibility in kind of psychological drama and suspense. That thing really turns me on. And I think it's just part of being human, the innate idea of searching and seeking. And we play hide and go seek, and it's called fishing, right? Not catching. So I think we're always looking for what's under the bed or in the closet or trying to figure something out. And that is what Mark seems to do in his scripts, and they appeal to me. And this is certainly one of which fits that nature. It's purgatory, limbo, and it's a place where your soul is on trial, and you are being judged by the two powers that be, heaven or hell, and to be decided which way it's going to go. And it's ever so interesting. So it's 12 angry men of the afterlife, which is great. So this script was brought to me by Mark, and we had talked a lot about it. And originally when I read it, I wanted to sort of kick around being the prosecuting attorney Balthazar, and Mark was great. But then we came up with the idea that maybe that character, interestingly, should be a younger player who might have a certain amount of teen angst. It might be a nice juxtaposition. So he said, well, Jimmy Boyle's great, and that's kind of what I wrote for you. And I said, yeah, I get it, and perfect. Yeah, let's do that. So it was, as you know, it's a challenging feat to make any movie, and this one was no exception, because we didn't have a lot of rehearsal time. We just didn't have a lot of days, so we had to get everything right in very few takes. And I think that also led to our casting, through our casting director, Shannon McCanian, Mark, people that I knew. We knew that the people that were being invited in, were going to bring something to the party. They're going to bring some bean dip and guacamole, and we're not going to have to spend a lot of time in the kitchen making anything, because we didn't have that time. So yeah, I'm really excited for Limbo.
Absolutely. And talking a bit about, just as you were saying, that idea of the human condition and what the film examines over the course of that story, it jumps into various genres, I feel, and it's a very much a fine balance, whether it's comedy, whether it's drama, whether it's horror. So can you talk a bit about that and and still trying to find that balance in that character and throughout the film?
That's a great question, because obviously watching the movie and you've picked up on all the little tidbits of each of those types of genres. So the movie, and we won't spoil it, has a twist in the plot, which is the focus, to hide that reveal for most of our work. But also, it was very challenging to be in a place of otherworldly, which is in the interrogation room, and then to go outside into the real world, and to heighten the real world, as it were, and then sort of mute this place of purgatory in limbo to a point, and yet we've got demons running around, excessive supernatural demonstrative creatures, which raise the stakes quite a bit. So all of these things were a challenge, and to keep your balance, not having a lot of time. So I feel like the comedy aspect of it is inherent on the page. Mark was trying to give it some dark comedy. That's the most difficult thing to pull off, because that takes a lot of timing, and it takes a lot of skill set to do. And I would have wished we had more time to land a little bit more of the comedy per se, but I thought we did a good job with what we had. But you're absolutely right. Every aspect of the movie, going from shock to remorse, to guilt, to confusion. My character in particular doing all of those. Where am I? What's going on? You're who? Are you kidding me? I don't buy any of this. Really? Oh, this might be real. Well, let me take my hat off and see if I can plea. All of those things were challenging, no doubt. And so I had to kind of be on top of all of it. But I really did enjoy it. And Mark, of course, being at the helm, directing. But also all the actors, their performances. It's a wonderful ensemble cast. And their performances are so rich. And they all carry this arc in the life of who they are, which I think makes for a good film.
Definitely. And can you talk, I guess, more in a general sense, aside from this film, Limbo, obviously, you've been a part of some amazing projects. I know it's not lost on you, whether it's Walking Dead, The Endless, is quite quite a fascinating film. So can you talk a bit about what it is that draws you to a project and to these roles that you've had an opportunity to play, in your career?
Yeah, and thanks for bringing up those pictures, because I adore them. It's interesting, The Endless and this movie, there's some through line. There's a little cross pollination there, and it's not just me in participation, but I think what it is it's the imagination at work. And I think the filmmakers like Mark Young and Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson who do The Endless, I think they start in their imagination with the what if, and then they carry through from it becoming a possibility to a probability and throw it out there. And we live in that space and that imagination, and that's where the good stuff happens. And then we present it, and the good stuff as an audience happens for us. And those types of opportunities attract me for sure. Intellectual challenges, intellectual ideas, outside of the box type thinking. I love discovery. It's my favorite thing about the art of what we do. Let's say you're doing a piece and you're doing your research. I love the research of the work. I love the build of a character. I love what I call the discovery. Oh, Brandon did this. He's from here. I had no idea. That is so cool. No wonder. Aha. I love the aha moments. And if I can find those in a script, that's a plus, man. That's an Easter egg, and I'll keep reading for sure. So I guess it's kind of the intellectual property of the piece.
All right, great. Well, going back to what you were talking about, obviously we won't spoil it here, but talking about that third act, can you tell me in discovering it within the script, what was it about, that moment, or
Mm-hmm.
just that situation in and of itself that gave you drew you into this project? Because it's very, I feel whenever you have any type of twist in any type of story, it's very tempting to kind of sell it too early, and because
Oh,
it's
good.
such a juicy thing
Yeah. Yeah.
to get to that moment. So can you talk a little bit to that?
Yes. That's a great point. And I'm going to cite an example for your audience to support your point. On The Walking Dead, when Axel's going to meet his demise through the governor's shot, it was very important for me not to indicate that was going to happen. It was very important to make it not just a regular day, but a rather pleasant day. And we were building a rapport and a relationship with Carol, and we were starting to have that good feeling, and we didn't see it coming, and bang, it happens. And then we're entirely let down. The air's taken out of the balloon. And so that's what you're talking about as this goes as well. And I think what was happening on the page was that I was starting to understand where my character was starting to get some leverage, some purchase, some footing on hope. Hey, this could go my way. How, and he was engaged now in no. Let's figure something out. Can do. He was proactive. He was proactive, and I wanted that proactive effort to come across, that I might win the audience over to get okay, and then we get to the transition that you're speaking of. So I was able to kind of get engaged in an elevated spirit, so to speak, with the prospects that I might get through this courtroom trial in my favor. And so I had to pick sort of places. And it's interesting because where I was starting to come up, the support system, my defender was not feeling as confident. So we had this yin and yang that was happening. And that was a big part of it as well, because the other guy working against me was like, no, let's keep this going. Let's see how it plays out. And so I felt like though that was kind of it was a dynamic on the paper, Brandon, but it was also heightened in the performance as well. And that happens so often. So these are the good fortune that we have in the film, not having a lot of rehearsal time, just by nature, the chemistry, we're able to build that.
Definitely. However, I will say this: when it comes to Walking Dead, for those seasoned Walking Dead viewers out there, I will say that whenever things are going very well, it's always a worrisome thing, because it's never a good sign of what's coming after. So
look out! Yeah, good point. And, whoa, shoot, things are going a little
like
too good.
Way too well.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that being said, knowing what we're alluding to happens later in this story, are you excited to see that reaction of those discoveries with audiences from feedback of them observing this?
I am, because I think that that'll be a testament to whether or not we were able to succeed in what we're trying to do. And I always think the key is with any story that you tell, you have to care about who you're talking about or who you're watching. So I'm hopeful we'll be able to win over with empathy, at the very least, that they care about these people, and that they're and that will mean they're invested enough to to be, moved by what happens in the end. It's interesting, as I've talked to people who have watched it and watched it with people, it's interesting to feel their reaction. And so oftentimes, people's reactions to a film are based on what they're witnessing someone else's reaction. So in other words, if he's not bothered, why should I be? If he's not excited, why should I be? And that's a really delicate line. The old saying is, don't ever cry on camera, let the audience do that for you. And so this has a little element of that, and it's always fun to watch how they spin it, or how they receive it. So I'm really excited to see how everybody sees it, and I'm excited for the movie to get out. I want everyone to see it. I think it's an excellent movie at this particular time where we're all in a little bit of a purgatory right now, just being under quarantine. So I would love for everyone to get on board. And it's a good puzzle for your mind. It's a good place for your headspace to occupy for an evening.
Definitely. And to close, I guess one thing that I will say, and again, I'm trying to stay away from spoilers, is the idea of how the title plays into a journey figuratively as well as literally. That part of it's fascinating. So on a mental level as well as physically.
Yeah, good point. And that's a really relevant point too, with the physicality. My character is so violent and physical in the real world, and yet is not in the ethereal world, and that was really difficult for me, because I kept asking Mark, hey, wouldn't I just grab this guy? Wouldn't I viciously fight my way out of here? Wouldn't I try? And you don't get to do that in that space. So that was a challenge, and I'm happy how we built it that way, because it keeps everything on neutral ground. And the restraint, I think, is just exactly where that place is. It's a restraining place. At the end of the day, it's limbo.
Definitely. Well, Lew, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you coming on talking about Limbo. Can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah, it's coming out August the 4th, I believe. It's going to be on YouTube. You can purchase it as a DVD. I think that's a link that you're able to get. You can buy it physically. I guess we're still doing that, playing DVDs. I don't know, but definitely the link. And then I'm really hopeful it can find its way uncorked. The distribution company can find a streaming option for it in the form, definitely like Netflix. I think it's perfect, and or Hulu, or Amazon Prime. So where do you think it fits?
I very much agree with you. I'm really looking forward to it being able to be seen in a communal atmosphere, whether it's a drive-in theater, since that seems to be more
cool
right now, yeah, or in a physical theater when we're at a time where that is feasible, of course. But even for you personally, yeah, definitely. I was gonna say, for you personally, where can folks find you?
You can look at me at, I'm on Twitter at Lew Temple Actor, very original. When we did Twitter, it was back on The Walking Dead, they had you do Twitter, and we didn't really know what it was. So we kind of made fun of it back then, and now it's our lifeline, right? Instagram is Lew Temple. And then IMDb keeps me track of everything. I have a Patreon page that's called The Texican. And it's a storytelling, subscription-based website that we're telling stories on and building. We're actually writing scripts on it. A lot of behind the scenes stuff that I do. from films, auditions. We read Lonesome Dove on there every day, 102 days, Brandon. Lonesome Dove. So we're real busy on the Patreon account, Texican. And I'm just trying to stay creative. It's a good time for us to really explore those options. Like you said, you're doing the San Diego Comic-Con this week virtually. I'm sure you're not as busy as you'd want to be in person, but definitely busier getting, technically virtually up to speed, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we miss you out here on the West Coast, and you'll be back for next year. So and you're here this year. You're not missing it. It's just it's a different form and fashion.
Definitely. So again, Lew, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Guys, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movies and Shakers Unlimited. You can find us on Facebook, obviously right here, which you're watching now, but you can also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD. You can